What is melanoma? Melanoma is a type of disease that starts in melanocytes, specific cells in the skin that deliver the chestnut shade known as melanin. These are the cells that obscure when presented to the sun, a defensive reaction to secure the more profound layers of the skin from the destructive impacts of the sun. Melanoma is very reparable if got early, yet is a great deal more probable than different types of skin malignancy to spread if left untreated. Sorts of melanoma. The most widely recognized sort of melanoma is cutaneous melanomas, which create on the skin, especially in territories presented to the sun, in spite of the fact that they can grow anyplace. In men, the most widely recognized site is the midsection or back, while in ladies, the legs are influenced often. Be that as it may, melanomas are additionally generally found on the neck or face. While having dim skin brings down the danger of creating melanoma in these more normal areas, people with darker skin are still at hazard for the improvement of melanoma on the palms of the hands, soles of the feet or under the fingernails. Bunches of melanocytes can likewise shape a kind, non-cancerous, development, or mole, otherwise called an evus. While most moles are safe, a few sorts may raise your danger of creating melanoma malignancy. All the more seldom, melanomas can create in the eyes, called visual melanoma, or mouth or vagina, called mucosal melanoma. When melanoma spreads, or metastasizes, it is known as metastatic melanoma. At the point when melanoma spreads, it will normally seem first in the lymph hubs, and afterward in different organs, for example, the liver, lungs or cerebrum. Melanoma manifestations. Indications of melanoma incorporate new spots on the skin, or an adjustment in size, shape or shade of a current mole. The ABCD administer is another approach to perceive irregular developments that might be melanoma skin tumor. An is for asymmetry, a mole that has a sporadic shape, or two diverse-looking parts. B is for fringe, unpredictable, obscured, unpleasant or indented edges might be indications of melanoma. C is for shading, most moles are an even shading, cocoa, dark, tan or even pink, yet changes in the shade or dissemination of shading all through the mole can flag melanoma. D is for distance across, moles bigger than 1/4 creep, 6 mm, the extent of a pencil eraser, crosswise over might be suspect, albeit some melanoma diseases might be littler than this. Other melanoma manifestations may include injuries that don't recuperate, shade, redness or swelling that spreads outside the fringe of a spot to the encompassing skin, irritation, delicacy or torment, changes in surface or scales, overflowing or seeping from a current mole. Since malignancy indications may differ, and not all melanomas create from moles, it is critical to talk about any new or unordinary skin developments with your specialist. While numerous melanomas create in zones presented to the sun, they may likewise create in zones that are typically escape the sun. It is essential to inspect these zones. Notwithstanding analyzing the legs, trunk, arms, face and neck, it is vital to take a gander at the territories between the toes, underneath nails, palms of the hands and soles of the feet, private parts and even the eyes. Melanoma hazard variables. General. Debilitated resistant framework, conditions that debilitate the invulnerable framework, for example, insusceptible concealment treatment connected with organ transplantation, may expand the danger of melanoma. Body. Reasonable skin, Caucasians have a 10 times more serious danger of creating melanoma than non-whites. The hazard is additionally higher in people with blonde or red hair, blue or green eyes, or skin that blazes or spots effortlessly. Moles. While most moles are safe and will never form into disease, having an extensive number of moles may expand the hazard for creating melanoma. Also, the nearness of dysplastic nevi, moles that look similar to moles and similar to melanoma, can expand lifetime hazard by 10%. Albeit most dysplastic nevi won't form into melanomas, a little rate can, and people with these sorts of moles ought to see a dermatologist frequently for an intensive skin exam. Hereditary qualities. Family or individual history. Individuals with one or all the more first-degree relatives, parent or kin, with melanoma are at expanded hazard. Likewise, people who have already been determined to have melanoma are at expanded hazard for building up the illness once more. Acquired conditions. Individuals with xeroderma pigmentosum, XP, an acquired condition that influences the skin's capacity to repair UV harm, are at expanded hazard for creating melanoma growth, and may build up the malady at a more youthful age. Way of life. Presentation to bright, UV, light, introduction to common wellsprings of UV light, daylight, and also unnatural sources, such as tanning corners, can expand the danger of melanoma. A past filled with sunburns, especially amid youth, or over-the-top presentation to daylight, may improve an individual's probability of creating melanoma. TNM framework for melanoma. Melanoma stages are doled out in light of the size or thickness of the tumor, regardless of whether it has spread to the lymph hubs or different organs, and certain different qualities, for example, development rate. TNM organizing. The American Joint Commission on Tumor has built up a uniform arranging framework that permits specialists to decide how best in Class A melanoma is, and to impart that data to each other genuinely. This melanoma arranging framework, known as TNM organizing, is made out of 3 key bits of data. Tumor, T, portrays the tumor's thickness, or how profound it has developed into the skin. The thickness of the melanoma, otherwise called the Breslow estimation, is an imperative calculate anticipating regardless of whether a tumor has spread. The thicker the melanoma, the more prominent the shot of it spreading. The rate at which the tumor cells are separating, otherwise called the mitotic rate, and the nearness or non-appearance of ulceration, an open, draining sore, are additionally considered in deciding the T-class. Hubs, N, shows regardless of whether the melanoma disease has spread to close by lymph hubs, or the channels interfacing the lymph hubs. Metastasis, M, alludes to whether the melanoma has spread to inaccessible organs, and in addition on levels of LDH, a substance in the blood. Melanoma might be arranged before surgery, clinical organizing, in light of physical exam and imaging comes about. It will likewise be organized after surgery, pathologic arranging, in which the clinical data will be consolidated with data picked up from biopsies. Since it utilizes more data, pathologic disease arranging is the most exact.